This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome, everybody, to episode 17 of the Animaniacast. Woohoo!
We're the Von Warner Brothers, and the Von Warner sister too. We're chimney sweeps extraordinaire. We'll clean your flue for you.
Welcome once again to the Animanicast. We are a podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs. Each and every episode we revisit an episode of the series in which it was released, discussing the cultural references and gags. We share our memories of what it was like to see the episode originally and what we think about it right now. Joining me once again, as always, is my brother, Nathan.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, I know, Nathan.
Oh, I'm ready.
And all the way over in Georgia is Kelly.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, Nathan, are you ready, Nathan?
I am ready. I was kidding. I'm all ready.
He's all ready. He's all right. He was frantically finishing up the notes that I should have finished up on the show notes, but now we're good.
I just started and finished.
Oh, good.
It's a one-word note.
Well, today we're going to be talking about episode 17 of the Animaniacs, which was entitled Roll Over Beethoven and the Cat and the Fiddle. And Nathan, when did this episode originally premiere?
Joey, this episode premiered on October 5th, 1993.
Cool.
Right?
We're actually kind of almost synced up right now.
Yeah, we're
temporarily with the show, how it was originally released.
Yeah, next week might be... No, this is about as close to it, right?
Roughly, yeah. This is about as roughly as... Yeah.
I don't know. We'll check it out.
So anyway, so this has two really cool segments on it. One of which shows the Animaniacs doing some stuff with another historical figure, and Rita and Runt return as well. Nathan, what do you think? In a few words, what do you think about this episode?
I watched it and I enjoyed it well enough, I guess.
Okay. And Kelly, what did you think?
It wasn't my favorite, but it was okay. It had some funny moments.
Yeah. I've seen this episode now quite a few times because, it took me a while to actually get into it for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. It doesn't really stand out as one of the best ones for me, but, the more I watched it, I was, I enjoyed it more and more, the more I got used to it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with one of the segments that is kind of like the mini segments, I guess you could say, that was introduced on this episode, which was Good Idea, Bad Idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! This right here is very similar to Mime Time, sort of. You have Tom Bodett, once again, doing introductions to the segment and doing the voiceover, and then you have this character who doesn't speak.
Talk. Yeah, no talking.
And then something horrible happens to this character. In this case, however, Mr. Skullhead, who I want to say originally came, listeners, somebody out there knows this, and possibly Kelly, you might know as well. Did Mr. Skullhead come from Elmira from Tiny Toons? I seem to remember her drawing Skullhead, and
that seems familiar, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I just remember like this. And I think later in the series they actually sing, "It's the Mr. Skullhead Show, starring him, Mr. Skullhead," and I really remember Elmira singing that first in like an episode of Tiny Toons, like her. You know what? Now that the more I'm talking about, the more it's coming to me. Like, I remember her drawing Skullhead, and it was like, I want to say just very basic line art like she would draw him like on a piece of paper and then he would start moving. Nathan's looking it up. Mr. Skullhead, Tiny Toon Adventures.
Mm-hmm. I see a picture of him.
We're doing on the site Googling, ladies and gentlemen. This is very exciting for audio listening. What do you find, Nathan?
It was designed by Sherry Stoner.
Cool.
He appears in sketches in the episodes Take Elmira Please, Grandma's Dead, and Weekday Afternoon Live. So that's on Tiny Toons.
There we go. So I was right.
He would later become a recurring character on the Animaniacs.
There we go. So I'm glad that somewhere in the recesses of my brain, he was in there.
And now, a very special guest on the Elmira Fun Show. It's Mr. Skullhead. It's the Mr. Skullhead Show, starring him, Mr. Skullhead. 'Cause it's his show that he has Mr. Skullhead.
So Mr. Skullhead came from Tiny Toon Adventures, and in this particular cartoon, we have 2 segments with him. The first one is a good idea, bad idea of good idea is playing a piccolo in the marching band.
Yeah, I do that.
And
Sure.
the bad idea, of course, is playing a piano in the marching band. That was a cute little segment with, of course, Skullhead falling over. What was with the crowd? Did you guys notice the weird crowd in the background?
No.
They all look they look like, they all look very similar. I've seen this cartoon now 4 or 5 times in preparation, both for myself and then showing it at my school to see if kids pay attention to it. And the crowd kind of stood out to me as kind of weird looking. They kind of look like people watching people standing, for John F. Kennedy's, funeral procession. Actually, It was the thing that came to mind, which was very odd.
Well, he is a skullhead. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. So anyway, Nathan's skipping forward to it. But the second segment of Good Idea, Bad Idea was a little sick and twisted, I guess you could say.
yeah.
The good idea was feeding kittens in the park, and the bad idea was good idea was feeding stray kittens in the park. The bad idea was feeding stray kittens in the park to a bear. And then the bear attacks Mr. Skullhead. And of course, the kitten right there, as a quick reference, was Pussyfoot once again, from our previous episode. Nathan, you have the crowd right in front of you. What do you think?
Yeah, they're all just standing completely still. So
They look weird.
even their balloons are completely motionless.
So I gotta have a sick sense of humor. I did not remember the feeding kittens to a bear joke, which did make me chuckle because it was so weird.
Yeah, and it was not what I was expecting.
No, I was expecting the kittens to attack him or something.
Yeah, or he's feeding them like something that they can't eat.
They should not
like
eat.
a pizza or something.
Yes, but instead he was feeding them to something else.
Yeah.
Kelly, what do you guys think about Good Idea, Bad Idea segments, and particularly maybe these 2?
I think they're kind of they're generally pretty funny, and they're just quick and easy to laugh at.
Yeah, they're great filler material. Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably like my favorite filler material, actually.
Yeah, of the different segments, of course.
Yeah.
And of course we had that poll, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Which Good Idea, Bad Idea, I believe
won. Yeah. So
Yeah.
everyone loves it.
Yeah, there we go. Everyone.
It is officially the best one.
Well, let's go ahead and so Good Idea, Bad Idea. It's a good idea to have those segments in our thing. So anyway, let's go ahead and go right over to our first segment. Roll Over Beethoven. Roll Over Beethoven was written by Paul Rugg, and it was directed by Michael Gerard. It was also Paul Rugg's first episode writing for the Animaniacs.
Woohoo!
I actually decided to just reach out to Paul Rugg online and just see if he'd respond, and lucky for us, everybody, he actually did.
All right.
So I asked him online. I said, "Hi, Mr. Rugg, blah, blah, blah. Heard this is your first episode."
You shouldn't have said blah, blah, blah.
I really
to him.
shouldn't have, but I'm just not a very good typer. But he said, Joey, it's actually my first script for the show. He had not been hired yet when he wrote it. It was his tryout script, and he thought he'd hand it in and move on. But about 2 hours after handing it in, they called him in and they offered him a job on Animaniacs. Apparently John McCann had the same thing happen. His first script was Dracula. And he said the Beethoven script was hard because he had never written for animation, and it took him ages to figure out the camera angles and the scene direction. Because back then, the writers were expected to include that, and it was a real puzzler. And so, in other words, this is something that storyboard artists do today. Mm-hmm. You write the script, the basic script, and then the storyboard artist goes and figures out where the camera is going to be. This is something that they were expected to do as an animation writer. So let's see here. Then he says, I said, do storyboard artists do a lot of that these days? And he goes, yes, and they did a lot of it then too. But the idea, a good idea, by the way, was that if the writer could at least see all that in their heads, the better the script was and the better the gags could be. A writer knew that what they had written down was doable. And if you couldn't explain a gag and visualize it, chances are it wasn't worth it. Also, calling the camera angles allowed the writer to include that in the comedy. For example, we don't see what Yakko has been doing until a certain point. Okay. So he's it was a good exercise, I guess, for him as a writer. So it's pretty cool to do.
All right.
So there we go. So we appreciate Paul Rugg reaching out to us.
And we got an exclusive.
Not reaching out to us, answering my reach out to him, I suppose. So thank you very much, Mr. Rugg. And we'll have to try to get one of these days hammer down an interview time with Mr. Rugg as well, because that would be real. Speaking of exclusives, we have some. I'm sure we have some questions that we'd all like to ask him someday. So anyway, very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Rugg. Kelly, could you basically tell us about what happens in Roll Over Beethoven?
Well, Beethoven is trying to follow up his fourth symphony, which, as we know, will become his fifth symphony.
Yes.
And the Animaniacs are chimney sweeps, and they're in Vienna, Austria. And they go into his house and annoy him, and they ask him what he's up to, and we watch him play the piano, and he's so irritated and cranky, and he just wants to finish his symphony, and then they start humming things and distracting him, and it's one of those pretty typical episodes where the Animaniacs meet a historical figure, and they ultimately help them go on to accomplish great things by virtue of them being there and bothering the person.
Yes. So, what do you think, Nathan? You like this episode? Like this segment?
Yeah, the segment it's fun. We get some of those classic pianist jokes again, like we've heard it before. Animaniacs.
I actually never heard the pianist joke before Animaniacs.
Okay. I was like, we literally heard it like 3 episodes ago.
No, that was when?
Well, in the episode where they see the concert of a pianist.
Oh yeah,
they make the pianist joke in that. So,
well, that's true. Oh well, it's better in this one, I think. I don't know.
They definitely stick your nose into it in this one.
Definitely, it's over and over again. Kelly, what did you think about this?
I liked it. Like I said earlier, it wasn't one of my all-time favorite episodes, but it. I really do like the ones where they meet historical figures. None of them stand up to Hooked on a Ceiling, though, with Michelangelo. But I think it's a great way to introduce, when kids were watching these, if they didn't know who any of these people were, they, it establishes a setting, kind of, what the person was known for, their names. And usually when I would see stuff like that when I was a kid, when I'd go to school and hear about it in school, it would trigger the memory, like, oh, I saw that, well, like in Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, or I
Exactly.
learned about that somewhere else, and it kind of helps you absorb the material a little bit more. It establishes a framework, and you could be like, oh, I saw this somewhere else, and it was actually kind of interesting, so now I want to learn more about the real person or the real event. And so I'm always in support of anything that encourages kids or adults to learn more about history and major events and people and places. So I liked it, and it was entertaining, and it did have some funny jokes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not only to Beethoven, but just to music in general. I think this particular cartoon tried to talk about what a composer does, even though Yakko, of course, is making fun of Beethoven in the back, behind him.
Yeah.
And like Dot playing music and saying,
Hey, what are all these funny marks on these papers? They look like cute little spoons.
It is music. You wouldn't understand it, dumb, simple-minded girl.
so, Dot was, they all take their little turns. Wacko didn't have a big part in this particular
No, he
one.
just blew in the trumpet was his big.
Oh, yes. But that's another one.
That's disgusting.
He said
that's revolting.
No,
right?
not revolting. That's remolting.
Really?
Yes.
Hey, where's this been?
In my ear.
That's revolting. You really shouldn't be putting stuff like that in your ear. You'll go deaf.
I am deaf.
Too late.
So there are some cultural references that you can see in this particular cartoon. We have, of course, Frank Sinatra and Elvis are throughout this building that Beethoven has. I'm not exactly sure why. That's kind of just a neat little...
I don't think they were around in that time period.
I'm pretty sure that's not historically accurate.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
But you can even see, like, in one shot, Beethoven has a portrait taken with Sinatra and Elvis.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of it. People usually don't know this, but...
It also says that for the opening, when it gives the time and place, let's not forget that it also says that this is Vienna. It is the sausage capital of Europe. Mm-hmm. So, how apropos.
It's 1811, which is a couple of years after Beethoven actually wrote the Fifth Symphony.
Oh, well...
I guess he wrote in 1808, so...
we gotta forgive little things like that. Today, it's much easier to...
Google something.
A writer, to go, when did that happen exactly? I'm sure Paul Rugg's encyclopedia at the time probably said that. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Or the benefit of a dot.
Without a shadow of a dot.
Shadow of a dot. So, of course, the Animaniacs throughout this episode are humming as they clean the Beethoven's chimney. And they're humming the Symphony No. 5 in C minor. I always thought that was kind of cool that they just kept doing it over and over again. When Beethoven finally does play it, it doesn't come to him like, as, oh, those kids did it. It just goes right into him subconsciously that he made it up himself and everything.
He's a genius.
Now, did you hear the songs that he was trying to play?
I heard the Animaniacs.
Uh-huh.
Well, and the Looney Tunes song.
Yes. And there's another one that he is playing quite often and messes up as well.
The Chopsticks, right?
Chopsticks.
Yep.
Yes. He's having... So if the Animaniacs didn't come through, he would have definitely invented Chopsticks, which that is just as iconic as his symphony, I believe, right?
I love Chopsticks because seeing it in this episode reminds me of when Wacko hums it in the episode Ups and Downs, which we haven't watched yet, but it's one of my all-time favorites. And sometimes when I get in an elevator, I do Chopsticks too.
So
probably got it from Beethoven. So
yes. Now, one of the biggest cultural references that happened in this particular cartoon was Dot. When Yakko is telling Beethoven that he's tense and he needs to relax. So Dot comes out to sing to him. She jumps on the piano in this dress, and Dot is looking like she's looking curvaceous.
Yeah, she's got this red dress on, and
she's singing to Beethoven in a sultry voice and everything.
Another tune, another song, but old Beethoven, something's wrong. He's uninspired, he's very tired, he's writing hooey.
She's singing, you're writing hooey or something like that instead of, oh gosh, what's the original thing? Making
Whoopee.
Making whoopee. Yes, sung, I believe, originally, a bunch of people sang it. I think Eddie Cantor was the first one to sing it, who was most recently in, Boardwalk Empire. He looks pretty good for being, he must be over 100 years old, but he still looks like he's like 20 something. But yeah, he's in Boardwalk Empire, so he's pretty cool. But anyway, she jumps up on the table, and that was a reference to a movie I had never seen.
Yeah, me
a
neither.
movie that I was aware of, but still have never seen. It was The Fabulous Baker Boys from 1989. Michelle Pfeiffer is up on, gets on the piano and sings to Jeff Bridges, who is playing piano. Now, Kelly, have you ever seen The Fabulous Baker Boys?
No.
No. I think this is kind of a bold move right here.
Yeah.
This is something that was an R-rated film. Boy, we're having really cool rain sound effects right here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Are you hearing this, Kelly?
Yes, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
See, hey, it's a desert. It still rains.
Proof. Audio proof. Anyway, but this was a bold move, I think, on the point of Paul Rugg, the writer and the producers, really, of the show, to say, yeah, we're going to have Dot do this send up to the Fabulous Baker Boys, because...
Which no one will get.
Well, the kids won't get it.
Yeah.
The kids will just think she's acting silly, and she's singing a song that the kids would never get. Mm-hmm. But the adults in the room, the parents who might be watching the show with their kids, would say, oh my gosh, that's just so cool.
Yeah, let's let our kids watch this some more.
Hey, that's a great point. Mm-hmm. They'd say, hey, I like it, so these kids can watch it too.
Yeah.
There. Apparent approval right there.
See? It's smart.
The Animaniacs.
Kid tested, mother approved.
So, yes, that was a little weird to see Dot like that, I think, but it was still a cute little part. Tress MacNeille did a very good job singing in that thing. She had, good stuff. And, of course, it ends with one more artistic reference right there of them going off to go see that grumpy Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And let's go take him some sunflowers. Which is, of course, a reference to his series of still life paintings of sunflowers, which Van Gogh was famous for. So it ended on a cute little note.
Yeah, I'd love to see that episode where he ends up cutting off his ear because the Animaniacs annoy him so much.
I don't know if they'll do that. But
really? No?
No, I don't think they'll do
pretty
that.
Funny.
Well, maybe. No. But overall, it was again, a very cute. Any particular other moments or things like that really stood out for you guys that you appreciated?
Yeah. Well, you can go first, Kelly.
I liked it when Beethoven was talking to Dot, and she was saying the little line about the little spoons on the papers.
Yeah.
And basically he told her she was a dumb girl, and then she completely showed him up and
yes.
played a tune, and I don't recognize whatever tune she played, and then she's like, it's just a little thing that I do.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, you go. That was awesome.
Yeah, she was even like playing with her tail and everything like that. According to the reference notes right here from the internets, it says that Dot is playing the third movement of Beethoven's own Moonlight Sonata, which was composed in 1801. So, according to timeline, it was something Beethoven should have been familiar with, I suppose.
It was like 10 years ago.
Or maybe that was the notes that was on the thing. So
maybe he was just reading it right off the Boom.
So there you go. So I'm sure that the orchestration, I'm sure that the composer of Animaniacs, whose name is totally escaping me, I think this was probably an episode they liked quite a bit because, of course, in the background as they're running around, they are playing Beethoven selections, usually the 4th or 5th symphony kind of notes, but I think they mixed in some other stuff as well. So that's kind
And the great thing is they didn't have to pay any usage licenses on
public domain.
Public domain. Public domain. I thought it was weird how the last time they get mad at him for saying pianist, they say pianist.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you're a pianist. And then they start washing his mouth and spray him with a fire hose. I'm like, he didn't even say it that time.
Why, you.
We're not you-yous. For your information, I'm a me-me. That's a he-he, and that's a she-she. And you're a pianist.
They're just being mean to him right now.
Yeah, like now it's just mean. Although he did try to kill them by burning them alive.
That's true. I forgot about that.
So,
well, before we move on, let's talk about Beethoven himself, because Beethoven was voiced by Kenneth Mars. Are either one of you familiar with Kenneth Mars? Nathan, are you?
Nope.
You are, Nathan, and you don't even know it. And Kelly, you probably are as well.
Not familiar with it.
Okay. Have you have both seen Young Frankenstein?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, but it's been a really long time.
Okay. Now, Kelly, have you seen The Producers? Mel Brooks' film The Producers?
No.
Okay, so
I have.
Yes.
I think I know who's in both of those.
Okay, so Kenneth Mars is in both of those movies, and he's in many, many other things as well. But he is Franz Liebken in The Producers, a former Nazi.
He was played by Will Ferrell in the
musical version, right? And in Young Frankenstein, he is Inspector Klemp, I believe is his name. Inspector Klemp was the guy who has the wooden arm, who can't. He's
it gets stuck a lot.
Yeah, he's basically he goes to get all the villagers of Transylvania to go after Frankenstein.
Footsteps.
Yeah, he's following his grandfather's footsteps, and his hand keeps getting stuck in weird positions and everything like that. I always thought he was hilarious as a kid.
Yeah.
In that movie, my dad just went, "No, that's not that funny. He's over the top." I remember my dad saying that about Kenneth Mars' performance, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" But
I just googled him, and he's King Triton.
He's King
In Little
Triton.
Mermaid.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I see it on your screen too.
Oh yeah, Ariel.
I should have at least known that.
Yeah, well, he's done a lot.
So everyone's familiar with this guy.
Yes, exactly. King Triton. There you go, everybody. No, but he actually did tons of. I mean, we were talking about like Beethoven and Franz Liebken and Inspector Klemp. German accents and things like that were what he was kind of known for. In fact, he was in one of the seasons of Malcolm in the Middle. He played like the German, didn't the Big Brother go to?
Yeah, he works for him, and he's actually like a nice boss, but like an idiot.
Yeah. So and he was in a bunch of, he was Grandpa Longneck in a bunch of Land Before Time movies. But
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, at the beginning of the episode, he said something, and I can't remember what line it was, but it did sound tremendously familiar to me, and I was being lazy and didn't look up who did the voice, and that's probably what I was hearing was a little bit of Triton in there because I'm such a Disney fanatic. So yes. I mean, I get what you're saying about the German stuff, but it's like I think I heard King Triton.
Ariel.
Exactly.
That's my King Triton impression. I just could say, that's all I could say.
Just say Ariel.
Ariel.
Pretty much all.
Ariel.
Oh, that's great though.
Yeah. It's like, I can only do impressions of King Triton saying Ariel and Punky Brewster's dad saying Punky.
Oh, I love Punky Brewster.
Punky. Anyway. And Kenneth Mars did pass away in 2011, so he is no longer with us. But he has quite a bit of work there on that many of us have been a part of, whether we know it or not. So he's done a lot of voiceovers. So Kenneth Mars, a very funny guy in movies and a very accomplished voice actor as well. So I think this is his only Animaniacs appearance, by the way. So there you go. So let's move right on, I suppose, unless there's any other particular favorite moments, parts of segment 1 that you guys particularly liked.
Nothing comes to mind.
Kelly?
No.
I gotta say that, by the way, the pianist joke, the pianist part right there, I put that up on the TV in my library, and just was waiting for kids to, go...
Storm out.
Yeah. Or, laugh or go, what? Or, giggle or something. Went right over their heads. Right over their heads. I was like, okay, well, there we go. In fact, now I am remembering that other penis joke because I did show that to my class as well.
That too.
And I think it went right over their heads as well. So
good.
There you go. So penis jokes, they're safe for kids. So there you go. Let's move right over to segment 2. Okay, so segment 2 was entitled The Cat and the Fiddle. It was written by Nicholas Hollander, and it was directed by Alfred Jimeno. And Nathan, what could you tell us what basically goes on in this cartoon?
So this is a Rita and Runt cartoon. So it's very musical. I guess they have at least one song they sing in it. Rita and Runt are in Italy, and they end up in a violin maker's house, where he wants to basically kill Rita and make violins using catgut, or using authentic catgut.
Yeah, he always says catgut like that. It was very weird how he said that. But anyway, go on.
So he ends up taking both of them in. He doesn't want Runt, so he keeps throwing a ball and ends up the ball keeps coming back to him, and Runt ends up destroying the whole violin, and so he kicks them both out. So that's pretty much how it ends.
And now we know why Stradivarius violins and instruments are so rare.
Yeah, that's right. They were all destroyed by Runt. There was so many in that room.
They had big collection. All dead. Or all dead.
All dead.
All gone. Stradivarius is all dead, though.
He is all
dead. Anyway, so guys, what did you think about this particular cartoon? Nathan, let's start with you.
It was okay. I thought the animation was a little weird, and the song wasn't particularly fun. I don't know, but it was fine. I learned about catgut. I didn't know anything about that before.
You didn't know that catgut was used, like the guts of cats were used for violin strings?
It's not an actual catgut. It's usually sheep or...
I heard that cat... I heard that...
I looked it up and they said they don't use cats.
Really?
Like ever. So...
Huh. I thought they... Did you ever hear that before, Kelly?
No.
Oh, well, then apparently Stradivarius was just an evil, evil person.
For killing cats for no reason. No, I think it was... it's called catgut, so they're making kind of a punny...
Oh, okay.
So... But it's actually made from sheep or... on occasion, they would even do like horses and donkeys, but not cats. Yeah. But it's like the intestines.
Right.
So I learned that by Googling.
There you go. Thank you, Google. So, yeah, well, again, I'm not going to fault the writers for this because this is in the 90s before Google. So how can you fault them? So,
well, I think they knew. Because they even say most people use, for their catgut, they use rams, but I use authentic catgut.
Oh.
It's all in the strings. Most violin catgut comes from sheep. But for my violin strings, I use 100% catgut.
Maybe it's just something I thought as a kid that's actually what they used was cat intestines.
Yeah, sheep and goat intestines.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, a feisty one. I like a cat with guts.
So anyway, Kelly, what did you think about this particular cartoon?
I thought it was kind of creepy. The Stradivarius looked creepy and talked creepy, and the way he was so manipulative and would try to send Runt away so that he could, basically kill Rita. And it just seemed a little dark for a children's cartoon, honestly. Like, I don't remember being bothered by it when I was a kid. And I mean, I wasn't disturbed or anything. I was like, this is just kind of dark and creepy.
Yeah, he was a little serial killer-esque, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of like with a big old butcher knife and then like, kind of luring and not even like killing Rita immediately, but like, here, play with this yarn.
While I sharpen these knives.
Let me give you some fish to eat and all. It was like this very kind of, he was a kind of creepy guy, wasn't he? Of course, I love how Runt ate the fish. Because he loves fish.
Mahi.
So he was cool. And that ball looked, is that like okay.
It was like a sewing ball.
Was it a sewing ball?
I think so.
I watched the episode like a dozen times. It felt like I watched this a dozen times and I couldn't figure out what the heck is with that ball.
It's a tomato. It's just a regular tomato.
It looked like, because there's a part where the ball hits a bunch of tomatoes and tomatoes go everywhere and Runt says,
oh boy, balls. Lots of balls. These are definitely balls.
The Animaniacs do make a quick cameo in this with Ralph as a pizzeria. I didn't realize it was Ralph. I saw people like online. It says it's Ralph as a chef chasing them.
It's the shape of Ralph, but that's pretty much it.
But like you said, the animation on this was a little bit off, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was like a guy chasing Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. So whatever. Nathan, you said the song was kind of slow and you didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, it didn't really stick in my head even. Like, I've seen it multiple times and I still can't remember how it goes.
Somewhere
over the rainbow. No.
I actually like it. And when I watched the episode, I remember the very beginning of it. I think she's sitting out by a fountain or a little, like a piazza or something. And it struck me as just a really pretty, picturesque scene, and I liked. It just seemed like a lot of detail in the background. There was like a railing or a little wall. It looked like it was of different colored stones, and that particular song seemed to have high production value.
I agree. I do agree. I think this song actually could, with a little more tweaking, perhaps. Actually, I could see it in a real musical. I could totally see myself, though, as a kid, tuning out because, like, after you see Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, with Beethoven and pianist jokes, the change to Rita and Runt, and then the tempo could be like, oh, okay, this is boring. Like, I don't want to listen to Rita and Runt, right, or Rita sing. But now, as an adult, I listen and I really admire Bernadette Peters. Her voice is just beautiful in this. So, and I agree. It's the whole, like, when she's putting her paw, I think, in the water and splashing it. And, it's cool. It's just a neat little introspective song. And, even Runt sings at the very end, which is kind of cute. They sing a duet.
Somewhere I can hang my hat, somewhere for a dog and cat, somewhere just imagine that we'll find a place called home.
So, yeah, I mean, it was cute. One thing that I was, again, surprised to find was the voice of what's his name now? Stradivarius. He was someone who sounded kind of familiar, and this was Hector Elizondo, who is a character actor who has been in many, many, many things over the years. If you've seen this guy, if you look at his picture online, you'll probably recognize him from a movie or TV show that you have seen. Just going over his IMDb, known for, he was in, I guess, the Princess Diaries movies, playing Joe.
Yeah, he's the security guard or the main.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you're obviously not a huge fan like me, but
apparently. and let's talk about another movie I haven't seen yet, Pretty Woman. I have not seen Pretty
I
Woman.
love that movie.
Well, do you remember the character Barney Thompson?
Yes.
Well, there you go. That's Hector Elizondo. He was also Dr. Philip Waters in Chicago Hope. He was on that show for many years, so did a pretty good job on this one. It sounded creepy, and
You really like saying catgut.
Catgut. I also really did like how Rita is totally immersed in this yarn, like hypnotic. She's just like out, when it comes to
hanging in there.
I'm a sucker for wool.
So anyway, any other last thoughts about these Rita and Runt cartoon?
The Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Oh, that's right. The Leaning Tower
all because of Runt, basically.
Or Stradivarius shooting the ball out of the cannon, right?
Yeah.
It made the tower lean. So, a little cute things. Again, I watched this episode a lot, and it's pretty simple and straightforward, but there was a lot of little things going on. Maybe it was just the plot that I was just kind of tuning in and out of. I'm not exactly sure, so maybe it's just because it wasn't, I don't know. Rita and Runt I always like them. They just don't really necessarily keep my full attention the whole way through. So anyway, well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating.
Oh boy.
Why the heck not, right?
Yeah, why not?
So, Nathan, what do you think? How many water towers would you give this particular episode out of 5?
I'm gonna go for 2.5. I really enjoyed the good idea, bad idea. The other segments were good. I enjoyed that they were kind of educational, but overall I was a little bored by them. So I don't know. So
okay. And Kelly, what about you?
I'll go with 3. They were about average, but nothing. I didn't dislike them, and the Beethoven one was kind of fun and interesting, and so about 3.
Yeah, and I'll have to agree with Kelly. I'm going to go with 3. Nice middle of the road episode, Animaniacs. A good average one, and some good voice talent and stuff like that was on this particular one, which is always nice to hear. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our poll results from last week.
And now, high in the sky, it's your hashtag Animanicast poll results. Listeners were asked, which of these is your favorite Animaniacs variant verse? 9% said Cockamamie. 15% said Citizen Caney. 18% said Shirley MacLaine. I went on a date with her one time. Wow. And 58% said Pinky and the Brainy. Well, that was the results from this week. Let's head back to the studio right now with you. What's that?
We're out of fuel.
What?
We're out of fuel. We gotta land right now.
Oh. Well, we're gonna land right now safely, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll be back next week. And back to the studio with your new poll. Oh, God.
So, those were our poll results. It looks like Pinky and the Brainy won.
Awesome.
There we are. Interesting. So, Nathan, what do you think? What's your favorite of those variant verses?
I voted for Pinky and the Brainy myself. It's just because whenever that verse comes on, I'm like, ooh, Pinky and the Brain's going to be in this episode.
Okay. And Kelly, what do you think?
I have to go with Shirley MacLaine because that meant that it would be the episode for Wally Llama.
And I'm, as much as I love Pinky and the Brain, I'm going to say Citizen Caney. Because I just think that is such an abstract kind of reference. And again, Kelly, like you were talking about before, like with kids wanting to look up Beethoven and things like that, like what the heck is going on with this guy? Mm-hmm. With even mentioning Citizen Kane, it's like, who is Citizen Kane? And even if it just elicits Today, a quick Google search. Oh, Citizen Kane was a movie from the 1930s. Oh, okay. Now I can move on.
Now I know the ending.
Then that's cool. That's, that was neat. So my vote goes for Citizen Kane. And might I add, I was following the poll results very quickly, even though Pinky and the Brainy won. What did I say?
Quickly.
I was following them very quickly and closely.
Okay.
I looked at them very quickly. Now, I was following the poll results very closely, and Citizen Kane was in the lead briefly.
When you voted originally,
and
you're the first person in?
No, I didn't even vote. So, anyway. So, we don't do this often. Before we get to our we have Animaniacs news.
Beep, 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 beep. Is that...
Yeah, that's our news.
That's our news segment song.
So Animaniacs news. Now, I don't foresee us having much Animaniacs news on this show. It's more of a retrospective kind of thing, but it was just announced yesterday, as of the time of our recording, it was just announced yesterday that Funko Pop was going to be releasing Animaniacs figures. They were going to have Yakko, Wacko, Dot, and Pinky and the Brain. And they look super cute. What do you guys think about those figures?
Yeah, I love it. Like, usually with these kind of dolls, like, you can't really tell who it is. Like Breaking Bad, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Or the Supernatural, they all look pretty much the same because they all look like people. But these, you can actually tell what each character is without reading the box.
Yeah,
which I really like.
Kelly, what do you think about these Funkos coming out?
I need to own some.
Yeah, I think they are amazing. I only have 1 or 2 Funkos, actually. I'm not a big collector because if I did get into Funko collecting, I would never be able to stop because...
Yes, kind of where I'm at.
Yeah,
I started with Yoda, and then I had to get Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and I think they're coming out with a new Belle, and there's an Indiana Jones that's like a Walt Disney World exclusive, and then I had to get Cookie Monster, and then it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I would definitely get Indiana Jones if I saw him as well. By the way, did you see the new Indiana Jones little cartoon thing?
I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen it. I've seen it pop up on Facebook, so I need to make some time to watch it.
Yeah, I did share out a link from that from one of our fellow retro zappers, Shaz Bazaar, sent out a tweet, and I saw it this morning. It is so cool. I retweeted it up on our Twitter feed as well if people are interested. It's very cool. But anyway, not about Indiana Jones, about the Funkos. Let's go ahead and talk about these real quick. Just the official release here. It says coming soon. These will be coming out in November. It says coming soon, Animaniacs Pinky and the Brain Pops. Pinky and the Brain are trying to take over your collection. The laboratory mice and their diabolical plans are coming soon from Funko. Narf. And then, of course, we have the Animaniacs. It says, hello, nurse. Animaniacs are also coming soon from Funko. The Warner siblings, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, are sure to be a hit with any nostalgic 90s kid. Collect them this fall. So, there we go. So, coming both in November, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. Like Nathan said, they really do kind of look like their characters. They have some really nice simplified facial expressions. I don't think these are bobbleheads. Is that right, Kelly? You have more experience with Funkos, right?
I don't think that they are.
I think it's the Star Wars ones are bobbleheads, but not the other stuff. I think it's what my friend was telling me with Funkos.
I think they're. I'm trying to think because I have some Yoda Funkos, but I don't think they're bobbleheads. But I do have some Yoda bobbleheads, so
yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to look at them.
That's just giving me an excuse just to look at your Yoda Funko bobbleheads again. So anyway, we have a poll question. Taking this back to our poll after that interlude, we're gonna take it out to you guys. When it comes to future, because we can only assume, right, that these are going to sell fantastically.
Yeah, like hotcakes.
And they're going to want to make more, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to want to make more of these Animaniacs Funkos. So we're going to ask you guys, what do you think they should create next? So your choices are, they could do kind of sets right here. So the sets we figured were Scratch and Sniff, Ralph the Guard and Hello Nurse, or Skippy and Slappy Squirrel, The Good Feathers, or Michelangelo and Spielberg, His Eminence.
His Eminence.
Which of those would you most want to see Funko create?
And they
I know.
We know what you know. You can vote like Kelly, which
we all know what that will be, but we'll find out next week.
Yeah, for sure. But make your voice heard. You can head on over to twitter.com/Animaniacast or search Twitter for #Animaniacastpoll. And you'll be able to make your voice heard. So
and Funko is definitely listening to this, so we need to make sure they know what they should be selling.
Exactly, yes. And hey, tell Funko while you're at it, you might want to tweet at them, say, hey, I heard about those great figures from the Animaniacast, and I can't wait for them because we'd really love for Funko to give us a free set so we can so that we can give them out to you out there.
And we can give honest reviews and things like that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know if I'll like these unless I'm able to see these in person. Right, Nathan?
That's right.
Right. Anyway, so go ahead and over to Twitter and make your voice heard. Well, let's go ahead and go over a few things as we wrap things up. First of all, let's go over contact information. Nathan, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I'm on Twitter. I recently got a gift to Jane Goft. It's a Boba Fett ceramic goblet, so I'm now officially Boba Fett, but it's spelled Jangoft. So
yes. So
I spelled it wrong, but it's Boba Fett at twitter.com. Jangoft.
Not Django FT.
No, it's Boba Fett.
Okay.
Boba Fett was taken, so I had to spell it a little bit off.
But it's okay, so it's spelled Gangoft.
Yeah, but it's pronounced
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Okay.
It's easy. It's simple. I don't know how I can make that easier for anybody.
In case you didn't see that, Nathan got this lovely ceramic Boba Fett mug from one of his friends. And it says, Jane Goft, please kill the announcer. You're our only hope. So, cheers.
Yeah, so the Twitter poll, he didn't get fired, so now I guess I just have to kill him? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's like...
Watch out, announcer. That'll be an epic conclusion to our announcer segments.
We'll do it on the final episode.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kelly, how can people get in contact with you if they'd like to say hi?
I'm at Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com. KLLY.
Very cool. All right. So, and of course, you can get in contact with us at the Animating. Well, me, but I haven't said my Twitter thing in a while. Not that people ever care, but it's okay. Well, thanks, Nathan. No, it's at Joey in Tucson is on Twitter there, and of course you can get us on Facebook and on Twitter, and of course at retrozap.com, where you can find a whole archive of all of our previous episodes. And many other fantastic episodes as well. In fact, you can even subscribe to the RetroZap feed, and almost every day you'll get a brand new RetroZap podcast, including ours on Saturdays. So that's a cool thing to do if you're interested. Well, I think with that we are done. Oh, but next week we have a kind of a Russian thing going over here.
That's right.
So, oh my gosh, Nathan, go ahead and say what you want to say.
I wrote all this, so okay. All right, okay, enough Stalin. I bet you're a Russian to check off next week's episode. So be it. Join us next week for episode 18, Pavlov's Mice, Chicken Boo Rishnikov, and Nothing But the Tooth.
All right.
Yeah.
Plus, we'll have some really cool listener feedback from one of our listeners and his kids. who gave us their review of our episode 18. And we're dropping stuff and things are falling on the floor. So with that, everybody, we're going to close things down before the place falls on top of us. So for the Animaniacast, this is Joey, and for Nathan and Kelly, good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
I am Ludwig von Beethoven, world-famous composer and pianist.
You're a what?
A pianist.
Mwah! Good night, everybody.